I'm going to kick this off by saying I'm not a fucking guru. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm not an influencer that is going to tell you that studying billionaires' habits and exploiting the masses is going to make you rich and successful. I'm not going to tell you that waking up at 5 a.m. and beating your shit 4 times a day is going to help you be able to talk to women. I'm a guy who's been through some shit and I'm able to talk about it. My name is Oaks. I'm 30. I'm bald. I'm not really sure how that matters, but hopefully it paints a picture of the type of person I am. I got a great head, man. Like, it's really smooth. I'm an emotional guy. I cry at films. I cry at Instagram reels. I cry at soldiers returning home and surprising their kids. I cry at abused animals being rejuvenated back to life by services that they deserve. Pretty much anything that hits me, I'm a wreck. I'm the friend that people go to when things feel heavy. I'm the sounding board. I'm the advice giver. Sometimes not the best advice giver. You know, telling you to sleep with your ex is probably not the best advice. But hey, we all make mistakes, and it's about owning them, and it's about the accountability, being able to admit that you can make mistakes. I'm not polished. I'm not perfect. There are still things that I'm working on myself, not only in therapy, but myself as a person. I'm quite emotional. I think I'm switched on, and I actually pay attention. Most of that emotional awareness comes from my early years. My mother raised me on her own as a single mother. She taught me how to feel things properly. And she made it normal for me to be able to express my emotions, even when the world tries to tell you that men shouldn't. You know, but on the flip side, I didn't really have much stable guidance from a father. You know, he was around sometimes, but not in ways that teach you how to be a man emotionally or a man in general. So a lot of this shit that I'm going to talk about, I had to figure out myself. So yeah, who I am now is a mixture of everything that life has punched me in the gut with lessons that I learned from my maternal figures in my life and everything in between. Pain and experience is often the best teacher. Sadly, pain isn't something that everybody wants to experience. And there's a quote that I've heard by Eric Thomas, and he says that pain isn't temporary. It may last for an hour, a week, a month, a year, but eventually it'll subside. Unless you've got third-degree burns, I guess. But it's true. You know, how many times have you gone through things and thought, fuck, I can't do this shit again? Like a really bad breakup, you know, you've gone through some grief, maybe some loss. But as a human being and as a person, you bounce back. You return to this thing we call life. And you tackle it head on. And that's what defines you. That's everything that defines you as a person. Myself, I've been through a lot of things. I think I've been through pretty much what everybody has been through, but which is why I don't believe that I'm special in this regard. I just think that I'm able to talk about it more than what others can. You know, I've been cheated on in multiple relationships. I've had a false fatherhood situation with scans, hospital visits, then an email saying that he wasn't mine and proof that he wasn't mine. I've had friends betray me. I've had a couple of suicide attempts. I've been sectioned once. And I've also gone through a misdiagnosis situation through my early teens to my early 20s. You know, I was misdiagnosed with anxiety and depression for a long time before eventually it settled on. Absolutely, you have inattentive ADHD. But when you grow up without much guidance, you tend to cling to people harder than you should. You know, you take more shit than you can. Red flags look a little bit amber. You know, you can handle certain things. And that's still things that I'm unlearning to this day. Like, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that I know everything. Like, I know the answer to why X, Y, Z is happening to you, because I don't. But what I can do is help you kind of process it and understand that being a man is about being able to process your emotions. It's about being okay to talk. And that's what this mission is about. You know, men don't talk properly, like, at all. I know a lot of people whom you can ask them, hey, how did that breakup with XYZ go? And they go, oh, it was okay. And that's it. And if you press for more information, they shut it down because they don't want to talk about it. And fellas, I'm going to tell you that you should talk about it. Like, if you were hurt, if you were cut deep, if you want to scream into your pillow every night because of how bad it was, you should talk to your friends about it. And fellas, I'll be real, you've got to listen to your friends at the same time. Men don't talk properly. Men don't approach emotions correctly. I think part of what this male loneliness epidemic term that is being coined is a lot based on the emotional side. We bottle things up until we explode. And I've lived in that silence, and that silence nearly killed me twice. I didn't tell anybody what I was going through up until the moment I wanted to jump. And when you stood there on the railing of a bridge, wanting to jump, and somebody finally listens, in a way it's liberating, but in a way it shouldn't have got to that. So I shouldn't have bottled those things up. This podcast exists because I wanted somebody real, someone honest, and someone who wasn't pretending when I was younger. I used to listen to a lot of motivational speakers when I was younger. I used to listen to Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson. What's this guy's name? There's a preacher. I can't remember his preacher. There's a preacher something, and he's fantastic. Alongside key speakers like Tony Robbins and the odd TED talk here and there, and a random motivational speech on YouTube. I used to listen to a lot of these things when I was younger, and unfortunately, I think it developed the wrong mindset for a little bit. It was very much the grindset. I need to do this. If I don't do this, I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to put food on my plate, on my table, and so on and so forth. And that works in some regards. Don't get me wrong. Like, everybody wants to eat, right? Everybody needs to be able to afford things they want, keep a roof over their head, pay the extortionate bills that is British gas. Everybody needs to be able to do these things, and that's okay. Grinding to be able to get the things that you want and the things that you deserve is an absolutely valid mindset. The issue is, though, is motivational speakers tend to tangent in two different ways. It's very much the mindset of the grindset mindset, which is the ignore everybody, cut things off, shit doesn't matter up until you get what you deserve. And that's not healthy. And the other side is, this is amazing, I can do this, and then all of a sudden it's religion. God gave me a purpose in this life to be able to do this. And I'm not going to try and offend anybody when I say this, but I'm not religious. I never understood religion. Which is ironic given that I was in a Church of England school from years 1 to 6. But it never really resonated with me because I'm in control of my own body. I'm in control of my own choices. And that's not a dig at people, religion as well. If you're religious and listening to this, I hope I haven't caused any blasphemy. Because I think that religion is an amazing concept to help people through life as well. I think if you have a step-by-step and expectations delivered to you and you genuinely believe in a higher power, that's amazing. And that's your way of getting through life, and more power to you. There is no malicious regard from myself into that. I, however, don't think that my life is that way. And you might think otherwise, and again, that's okay. I just think that when you're listening to somebody like me or a motivational speaker, if something doesn't resonate with you, you tend to switch off. And I found that quite consistent. Like, I love Eric Thomas as an example, a fantastic motivational speaker, one of the most influential people that I've ever listened to and watched. And I really wanted to go to many of his seminars. But as I grew older, I started listening to the old things of, like, how bad do you want it speech, for example. And I often found myself getting annoyed because he's talking all about this self-power and how you can do amazing as your own. And then God gave me this and God made me do that. And I learned, and that's okay, but that's not for me. And that's why podcasts like this exists, is because I want somebody real. I want somebody honest. I want somebody direct like I was. And that's not to say Eric Thomas isn't real either. I just think that certain things resonate with certain people. So if one person listens to this and feels less alone, that's the whole fucking point. If you're 5 people here, 4 of you switch off and one guy goes, damn, this guy gets it. That's all I need. That's all I want. I'm not looking to go viral. I'm not looking to be on millions of stages and telling you how rich I am and how amazing it is and how I rubbed shoulders with XYZ celebrity this weekend. And, Mr. XYZ paid £50,000 for me to come and talk to his business. That's not who I am. I think, more power to those people who can do that, but I'm real. I'm here. I'm emotion personified. What I've learned myself, feeling shit deeply doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware. Crying as an example isn't weakness. A lot of men are taught that crying makes you vulnerable, makes you weak. But how many of you have made a situation and been through a situation where you've gone, damn, I feel like fucking shit, man. Like, I can't cope. And you've cried. Your head's pounding, your face is red, tears are streaming from your fucking face. And then when you're done, you're like, actually, I kind of feel a bit better now. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't provide clarity all the time. I'm not saying every situation you should cry, because that'd be quite silly, actually. You imagine a situation like, congratulations, XYZ, you have actually been promoted to the position you've been working towards, and all of a sudden you're breaking down crying. Probably isn't the best look, but at the same time, it's okay to do that as well, though. Like, even if you did cry, who cares? Who the fuck cares? Like, at the end of the day, if you want to cry, fucking cry, man. But it isn't weakness. It's honesty. It's real display of your emotions. It's real. It's you. So, you don't have to be stone cold to be strong. And I don't mean Steve Austin, all right? Although he is really strong. I don't think I could take him in a fight. But you don't have to be stone cold at all. You're allowed to feel things. You're allowed to express your emotions. And, being real takes more strength than pretending everything's fine. The strongest men I know are the ones who finally stopped acting. These are people who finally took off the mask and decided to be who they were. And masculinity now, back in the day, maybe in like the 1950s onwards, masculinity was seen as being, big, bulky men. Men are men and women are women. And, I think real masculinity is those who embrace their emotional states. There's a lot of places in the UK, as an example, like Andy Mann's Club, where men are going and talking. And I think that is the most masculine thing that you can ever do. If you can sit in front of 10 other guys going through some shit and able to talk to yourself and talk out loud, that's a lot more masculine. I think that's a lot better than taking your aggression out on a kickboxing mat or, so on and so forth. But hey, I've rambled on. This podcast is not therapy. I'm not here to preach. I'm not going to tell you that God gave me a higher power. I'm not going to tell you that this was my calling. I'm not here to try and fix you. I'm just here to talk about the shit that men hide, and share the lessons and experiences and the pain that I've gone through. And hopefully something you can take from it. They're going to be short episodes, proper conversations, messy emotions. I might cry a little bit, and that's okay. Lived experience. There's going to be no toxic positivity. I'm not going to sit there and, let's say, grindset, and I'm not going to pretend. It's going to give you what you deserve as a person, and I'm going to give you raw honesty, just from someone who learned everything the hard way. If you've listened this far, thank you. I really, really don't care about going viral. I care about being real. Like I say, if one person hears this and you feel less alone, that's a win to me. And if you are that person listening to me right now, welcome. Thank you for listening. I bet you're a fucking absolute legend with a mahoosive penis. But that's you. This is the Oaks Project. This is still standing. It's where we as men are going to grow. Even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if it fucking hurts. I'm still standing. And if you're here, maybe you are too.